Hello and welcome. I'm Katrina Green. I am the Senior Vice President here at Gray Residential and your host of The Complex. This is a podcast covering topics related to the diverse segments of work required to operate a thriving apartment community. Join me for candid discussions with industry leaders who are partners and colleagues as we navigate the ever-changing yet fundamentally consistent business of multifamily. I'm excited today to be joined by Gray Capital's own Sky Kirkman.
Hello.
We had a discussion in passing one day about your apartment search, and I just thought, wow, like there's no better way to convey, what's going on out there and what that process looks like than an actual real scenario. Like a mystery shop doesn't quite count.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite count because there's no winner in the end. No. So anyway, let's get to it. Excited to have Sky. Sky, let's start with you just sharing with everyone. I mentioned earlier in my intro, I mentioned there's just a diverse amount of tasks that we have to do. I think that fits you in many, many ways. Tell us what you do here.
Yeah, so I'm the office manager, but I do a lot all the way from snacks in the office to design. I help with project management some. I help accounting a little bit. I help run our intern program. So I'm kind of all over the board, just team support, really.
Yeah, yesterday you did a utility analysis for me, to find and just procure all of the increases that we should expect for budget. So I mean, literally just anything. Yeah. And I just love that every day you're let me know if you need anything today. And I'm I'll find something.
Yeah. I love just being all over the board. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
keeps it interesting. There's a lot going on, and I like it.
Yeah. It's awesome. Well, let's just start with. You've given a little bit of background on what you do here at Gray Capital and the fact that you do support us, but, flipping to the other side, talk a little bit. You're not new to the apartment industry, even though you were new to Gray Capital. Yes. What did you do before?
So I started in leasing, actually. I had never really even thought about going into that industry, but just switching careers and looking for something different, I found a leasing position. And I was a leasing position for roughly 6 months, and then I kind of got thrown into the management position, thankfully, but, it was kind of last minute, and they were just wanting to find somebody, so I was given the opportunity. I was a property manager for roughly 2 years. I ran 2 properties. I loved it, but I think it's a lot different being in corporate, and I think I may be better suited to be, not necessarily people-facing. I love being able to take calls. I do take calls, and I help out that way a little bit, but it's definitely I'd say a little more diverse in corporate. I like to have a little more, day-to-day difference, and being a property manager, same thing every day. I loved my residents, but it's nice to be on this side, I think.
I think it's an interesting just thing to bring up early on, because as we talk about your experience with the apartment hunt, monotony is kind of normal, I think, in the, that leasing presentation or that phone call or that email or, whatever. It does feel a little bit like it is the same thing over and over again. And I think that's where our challenges as operators is to make sure that, each person feels like they're the only one we do that day, or that they're unique, or whatever. Yeah. So just interesting that you mentioned that from the perspective of the employee. Yes. So true for sure. But I just felt like it was important to mention that you did have that site level experience, because it's funny, I asked this question to somebody yesterday. I asked our regional manager because her daughter was looking for an apartment, and she was talking about her experience, and it wasn't a great experience. And I said, okay, do you think that you were judging, more fairly or less fairly because of your experience? Okay. So before we talk about what your actual apartment hunt looked like, do you think that you judged them more fairly or less fairly because you know?
Yeah, this time around, I've lived in apartments for the last 6 years, and before working in corporate, I definitely did not pay attention to a lot of things that I can definitely pay attention to now and look for. So I'd say I definitely treated them less fairly, for sure. I definitely looked and watched out for stuff more than I would have previously.
Yeah, and I only say that more as just a preface for the lens that we the lens that we look through.
Yes.
But I don't think that we're that different from the general public.
No.
And there's some people in the general public that are far more judgy
Yes.
than what we are.
Absolutely.
And then there's some that are more tolerant, you
Yeah.
know, maybe of certain situations or,
Yeah.
you know, something like that. Well, let's start first with, you know, just maybe what your must-haves were as it relates to what you needed to have in an apartment, because
Yeah.
I don't even know how many apartment communities there are in Indy now. I mean, in the metro area,
Yeah.
900 maybe.
Yeah.
And you were looking at a general cluster of area, but
Yeah.
not a narrow, right? Like just north.
No, yeah, mostly north. I was looking Fishers, Noblesville, even like Carmel, really. So
Yeah.
not more north, but nowhere specific, really. Yeah.
Which is interesting to start with because, you know, operators, when we're looking at marketing, we
Yeah.
think in our minds that people are a little bit more targeted or, you know, narrow at the
Yeah.
beginning of their search. That's broad.
Yeah.
Like that's really broad. So when we're talking about like, well, who are my comps at Solana? And you know, you try to keep it in this like sort of like specific sphere.
Yeah.
The reality actually is that some people have a much broader,
Oh, yeah.
like we're competing with a lot of
Absolutely.
people,
Yeah.
a lot of communities. So, okay. So north side,
Yep.
in terms of the actual like apartment, what was most important?
So really, I didn't have too many like needs. Really, I wanted a more like updated unit, washer and dryer, and then I needed a garage, like an attached garage, because I have cats, so I keep like their litter and everything down there. So I knew I had to do that. But
Yeah.
other than that, in a 2-bedroom, I really was not picky. I was looking very, you know, did not have too many expectations of what needed to be in an apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, you're either a dream customer or a nightmare customer.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't care as long as, I have like a 2-bed and a garage. That's really all I'm looking for. And
Yeah.
I wanted updated, but price-wise and location-wise, it was not like a necessity for me. So,
At this point, did you find a lot of attached garages?
no.
Yeah.
No. I'm a little bit over my price range.
Yeah.
But even like a little over my price range, there's not too many properties, unless they're more like condo style, that have attached garages.
Yeah.
They have like some that are attached to the building, or like those like separate garages, but there's not a ton out there that are attached to a unit.
Yeah. And I think that those, I know, you know, we know what you're talking about, like where you pull in and maybe you go down a hall and then you
Yes.
get to your apartment, or you go upstairs and go to the apartment. And it's like, it isn't the same.
No, not
It's
at all.
not. You know, like if you left something in your car
Yeah, you have to
and you
be
need to go
dressed.
get it.
You have to be.
I mean,
yeah.
we hope you'd be dressed.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Not everybody goes out. Not everybody thinks about that. They're just
No.
like, oh, I'll just run in and out. I won't see anybody.
exactly.
Yes, you
You
will.
will.
And we
You
saw
will.
that on video.
Yeah, you will.
Yes. So I think that is a commodity. I mean, we talk about that specifically on our site about like the amenitization of
Yeah.
that attached garage is not the same as just any other garage or any
No.
other parking scenario. It's pretty important. So, okay. So had to have an attached garage,
Yep.
2-bedroom, north side. Talk to me about, you know, just like where you started. I mean, you know what you're doing, but do you think that you took a similar path to someone that doesn't do this every day?
I think so, yeah, because I didn't really, again, know where I wanted to be necessarily. I have a few people who live in Fishers, so I kind of started in Fishers, but I didn't, I would just like pick an area on a map and I would just type in apartments and kind of see what they're close to. I want to have like a grocery store near me. I'd like to be close to the interstate, so I kind of try to keep those, but other than that, I kind of just Googled apartments and I saw what I liked. I saw like price ranges. And then I definitely, like, if I reached out to them and they didn't answer, or if they like sent a text, I was definitely like less interested, I'd say, just because, and I think a lot of people can agree, when you're looking for an apartment, even if you like know exactly what you're looking for, you still want to talk to somebody. I think it just makes it more simple to like have a quick phone call, say, do you have an attached garage? Do you have a 2-bed? Like, what's price range? And so when someone just like immediately sends a text after like not answering my call, or my call like immediately being forwarded, I kind of was just like, all right, like, or if there's so many, like I would say 3 or 4 I reached out to just did not. I never got an email. I never got a call back. I never got
ouch.
a text. Yeah, so I'm like,
Ouch.
okay, I'm gonna move on. But
Yeah.
that was definitely a big thing. So
That's so that's tough to hear.
yeah,
That's
it's-
tough to hear because as an operator, it's like whoever's marketing department
Yes.
or, just the owners that are investing in advertising
Yeah.
that led you or connected you. And then for there to be no reconnection is that's death by a thousand cuts. That's a
and I
phrase we
just
use here a
never
lot.
reached back. I'm like, I'm looking for an apartment. I'm going to be very easy because I just, it doesn't, again, I'm not super picky about it. As long as it's in my price range and it has two things I'm really needing, like I'm going, I don't need that like grand experience. You should want to give that to everybody.
Yeah.
But I'm not like, if I don't get this, I'm not going there. But just like a
Right.
simple no response, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm not going to beg to come get a tour and,
Yeah.
see if I like the apartment. So,
Well, and also if there's no response in the moment that is supposed to be the most like cheerful, like that's when
Yeah.
you're supposed to be winning them over,
Yes.
then what's it going to be
Yeah.
like when you have a service request?
Exactly.
Or
Yeah.
just, maybe a noise complaint
Yeah.
or maybe an issue or something like
Yeah.
that. Like I think that's what I'm not sure all leasing people or all people in general really recognize the psychology behind just not getting to it or
Yeah.
not getting to it
Yeah.
quickly or
you lose
whatever.
so many. I think, again, even being a property manager, people are, for the most part, pretty easygoing when they want to come and tour. Like, they're just excited to go tour. And I think you can see that if a leasing agent is, like, not bubbly or excited or, like, happy to do it, it's a very quick switch to being like, oh, okay, well, I don't care to go tour. Like, I'm going to tour, but, this changed my perspective of the property already.
Yeah.
So I definitely think having someone that like wants to talk to you or is like excited to help you is like a huge difference for the majority of the people.
Did anybody, like, in your opinion, like crush it? Or was
I
it all?
do say one that I did not end up going and living at.
Yeah.
A younger lady, maybe a little younger than me, probably early 20s.
Yeah.
Very bubbly, very excited. Reached out a few times after.
Okay.
And I even told her like it's a little above my price range, but
Aw.
I'm considering it. And she still reached out. Like no, not like pressured, but just
Yeah.
like, hey, just checking in. Like, and she was so nice, and she was newer, so she's like apologizing for needing to get different keys and stuff, but she still was just on her, you know what I mean?
It
Like,
happens.
she's trying, exactly, and she's trying, and she's super nice and bubbly, and that definitely made me like, it's a little over my price range, but it seems like it's a good community, and
Yeah.
you'd be welcomed when you like need and like have an issue or need to go into the leasing office. So
There's probably a few people that would stretch their budget
yeah, 100%.
because of that experience and
Yes.
that confidence. Like maybe they would just go, okay, like I wanted to spend a little bit less, but
Yeah.
I understand why I'm, maybe going to spend a little bit
Yeah.
more. And so that was an outstanding experience.
Yes.
But all of the rest that met your price range that were
Yeah.
in the general area that had the other criteria wasn't great,
No,
right?
no.
Yeah, and I'm not leading you. It's just like that's what you.
No, yeah,
when we talked
yeah.
about it in the hallway, I was like, oh my gosh, people need to hear this
Yeah.
because also I just think like sometimes my role, maybe even regional role, if you're not really watchful,
Yeah.
you might miss where it's just like, what are we doing out there? I don't know, and making sure people are trained and understand the mission
Absolutely.
and impact. So
Yeah.
let's talk about we will save what you picked for last.
Okay. Yeah.
But talk to me about the ones that stayed in the running the longest. Like what was that experience like?
Yeah. So again, the one that was a little more like above my price range, I again thought about it because of just the cheeriness and someone definitely like actually wanting you to be there. A few others, they were okay. Just I think they stayed in the running, but they were just a little too close to Carmel because I'm trying to stay close to like 69 to be
Yeah.
able to get to work and different things.
Yeah.
But they stayed because even a few of them did text me, but it was an actual person, and so that makes a
Okay.
big difference. I like calling, I think, just because.
Do you think you could tell? Like, was it easy for you to tell the difference between this is an individual that's giving me individual attention versus this is a system that is checking the box?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even a few of them, I think it was a real person, but I think they were remote or like they were not on site or had never been on site. And
Yeah.
so when you're asking them questions, they're just like, when can you tour? Like, when can you come in? When are you available? And I'd be like, do you have an attached garage?
Yeah.
Would not respond to it. Like, does this time work for you? And so I'm like, is this a real person or are they just like ignoring my questions? So I like would even be like, is this a real person? Like, are you on site? Do you know
I think
these questions?
That's a fantastic point, though. I just had this conversation with, Brittany, who leads our centralized team, I said, there's a difference in the follow-up when your goal is to get the tour versus your goal is to get the lease.
Yes.
And I think those are wildly enough, I think those are two different approaches. And it sounds like
they just wanted the tours.
Just get the tour, get the
100%.
tour. And I get it from an analytical standpoint, kind of, because if we're looking at numbers and if our tour to lease is, if we know that if we just get them on site, we're going to win them, whether that's because our product is amazing, all the variables line up. If we think that that is the pathway to success, fine. But like, what about all the leases we possibly could have gotten in advance of the tour, like where the tour was just the affirmation.
Absolutely.
And so I think that system, whatever it is that was fueling that, human or otherwise, they've been taught or they believe, or maybe they can support, I don't know, that just get the tour. And that turned you off. And did you ever tour?
No. I was
never
like,
did?
nope. They didn't answer my questions. Like, again, I have to have an attached garage. That's just something I need.
Important part.
And so I would just simply say, I'm not even asking price. I'm not even asking availability at this exact moment. I'm just saying, do you guys do you offer attached garages? Yeah. Just would not respond to that. And so I'm like, is this a real person? And they responded, I do not know that answer, but like your leasing agent, when you tour, will be able to answer that for you. And I'm like, in a sense, I get that. Yeah. But if you don't have an attached garage, I don't need a tour because that you don't have what I need. So I'm not going to go tour.
Imagine you showing up and then that news comes out. Like, how annoyed would you be?
Why am I going to like take an hour and a half out of my day to go see an apartment that I cannot live at? And it's like they would two different people, two different sites. I do not know the answer to that question. I'm like, I get you maybe off-site or remote, but you think you could have like a computer screen in front of you?
I actually think that's a super easy question to answer. Yes. Also, I'm surprised that if it was automated, I'm surprised it didn't understand. Also, just, everybody's consumer behavior is different. And I think that's what's tricky about it is like, we need to make sure that whatever the consumer wants, whatever the path is, they get it. Because there's also probably someone out there listening to this that's just like, well, didn't she look at their website first? She would see that already. Why is she even asking that, or whatever? I mean, it's like, because sometimes in our mind, as long as, all of the dialogue and the narrative and the words and the keywords are out there, it's going to get picked up. But I just think our confidence level, even in ourselves sometimes that we've read everything, or some websites I think are just like so media rich that you're not sure because some of them are TLDR, where you're just like, there's no way I'm reading that 16 bullet point list. I mean,
and a lot of them
we're
just
about
say
speed.
Garages.
Oh, it was say garages.
They didn't say attached. They didn't say detached. They didn't say attached to the building. Like, just garages. I'm like, okay. And it would, of course, have the star. Like, that can apply to some people. And I'm like, I don't know.
Select units.
I'm like, I don't know what this means.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. And that's a good tip for all of us is like, make sure that our language aligns with what consumers' language is, so that way there's absolute clear understanding. I mean, I know we renamed some of our floor plans at like Sycamore Terrace, for example, in Terre Haute, to make sure that the actual floor plan language in the name made sure that it was clear what had an attached garage. Okay, and so you could clearly see like, oh, this is a B2, and then this is a B2 in the attached garage. And it obviously had a separate image. Not all operators do that, and that's
or they're like
painful.
Little drawings. I've seen a lot of them are like really small, not extremely like you cannot see a lot of it, and so I'm like, there could be a garage that I cannot tell. I don't know.
It's crazy. It's like with it's 2025. There are certainly all kinds of different systems that would just draw those for us. I mean, we're staging apartments digitally for the love. So it's like, how is it that those thumbnails are still that bad?
It could be a lot better. And not with like a lot of it's not difficult to get that done. So
well, that's upsetting. So so you knocked out the ones that did just full automation, only wanted to get the tour, couldn't answer the question. Did you ever look back and see if they did or didn't have what you wanted?
A few times I did try to look. Again, their websites are I did find out they do have them on very select units, but it's like three bedroom up. Almost like a townhouse style.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that just wasn't obviously what I needed. But a few of them, I'm like, I don't know, and we're moving on.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to go back and try really hard. But yeah, another one that I found, I called and they answered right away, and the super friendly lady.
Yeah.
And she's like, you can come tour right now. I'm like, okay, do you guys have attached garages? Yes. I'm like, okay, it's under my budget. I'm like, there's no way. Like, there's no way. And it's in Fishers. I'm like, okay. So I drive, I turn around because I still lived in Muncie at this time. I turned around, drive back to Fishers, and she takes me on a tour of the entire facility.
Yeah.
And as we're passing different buildings, I see that there's attached to the building, not attached to the unit. I'm like, oh no, I should have specified that. And so we get into the unit. I'm like, oh, so it's not attached to the apartment. She's like, no, the building. And I'm like, okay. And
you're so sweet. I'm sure you were sweet about it. I'm sure you weren't just like,
no,
why?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I still was like, okay, all right. And she's like trying to give me different ideas of where I could put my cat litter and stuff. And I'm like, thank you so much. I do appreciate it, but I was already set on, I know what works best, I think, just for me and my apartment. So I'm like,
right.
I really do appreciate it, but just not going to work.
And you're coming from a single family home rental.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's that adjustment.
Yes.
Like you said, you knew what you needed.
Yes.
Not just oh, this is something that I would like to have.
Yeah.
You knew. And I think that could be a tough transition.
Oh, 100%.
From single family to multifamily sometimes. But it's also where as operators, we have to be, first of all, we have to do some needs assessing. If a human had a conversation with you,
yes,
they should have asked, or would, I like to think if they're great salespeople, they would have said, where are you coming from, or whatever. And it would have come out, and then that agent would have understood more, deeply how important those things were. But so you wasted your time.
Yeah.
And hers.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. She was very friendly, though, super nice. And it wasn't, that one, it was not she was just trying to get the lead or the tour. She was very, very friendly, really wanted to actually try to make it work, and was super excited. And so it was nice. It was a good experience, but just something I could not do. But yeah.
So let's move to your experience, start to finish, with the one that in the end you picked. Okay. And I feel like I played a role in it. You did. Actually. Yes. Yeah. You did.
I love the property. I love the location.
Yeah.
A few things leasing agent wise, or even just property manager wise.
Yeah.
It's not I don't think it was the best experience I've ever had moving into an apartment.
Yeah.
I definitely love my space. I love my apartment.
Oh, good.
But leasing agent wise, not necessarily the best, I don't think. So I went and toured. I called.
Did they respond to your lead?
Yes. Well, no. So
email lead.
I called.
Okay.
So I didn't even. I called. They answered right away.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Can I come tour today?" And they're like, "Yeah." So
wow.
we already
dream prospect.
Absolutely. I'm like, I'm on my way. But so when I got there, super friendly. Took me over to the apartment. They let me know it didn't have power. Something happened. It didn't have power. So I was like, okay, it is what it is, because that's the apartment. I know. But I'm like, all right, that's okay, because it was the one I would be living in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's all right. And so we're looking at it. She just stands by the door, and she's like, yeah, go ahead and look. And she's not necessarily this is, the guest room. This is the kitchen. She's kind of just yeah, go ahead. And so I was like, okay, where's the garage at?
I think that's difficult because, if you've ever done it, we've all done it. It's you either feel like you're stating the obvious, you're Vanna White and being these are kitchen cabinets.
Absolutely.
No kidding. Don't, you know what I mean? But I mean, I think small talk, and obviously in a true sales environment, there's supposed to be some soft closes, or do you like this? Or even just saying, I've seen some of these furnished, and this is how I would do it. Is this how you would do it? They're supposed to do all of that.
I think there's a middle ground. I don't need you, again, like you said, I don't need over the top. This is the fridge, and this is where you would be sleeping. But maybe just saying, the garage is here. This is where your washer and dryer is. Because the door was, shut. So it was not obvious where that was, really.
Right,
because there's, a utility closet, and so there's doors closed. So I'm I don't know. But other than that, she was still very friendly, took me right over there. But I told her I wanted the apartment, and we went back and looked at pricing. She was like, I'll email you everything. Never emailed me anything. And I'm like, I don't know if maybe, they just had the wrong email. I'm not sure. But
so they didn't have an environment for you to close right there. No. They let you go.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's so
scary.
They
weren't do you want to do it right here?
Yeah.
They were just okay, we'll send you over everything, and you can do it all online. And I'm like, okay, obviously I can easily do that. But did not get anything. So I had to call again. And
So you would have been fine with that and genuinely like been in it for the lease
yes.
as long as they had, I mean, obviously eventually you did, but like
Yeah.
they didn't send you. But had they
No.
sent it to you and it like maybe even like right away, timely
Yeah, I would
manner,
have
you
done
would
it
have just
right
been like,
then.
let's go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I left, I'm like, I didn't love that, but I do like the apartment. So I think, I am not huge on, I don't go into the leasing office every day. I don't go into the clubhouse every day. Of course you want, pleasant people.
You're not a frequent flyer?
No, not at all.
That's
You'll
what I
see
call
me
them.
when I move in, and that's probably about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, she was very friendly, so it was okay. But when I moved in, again, keep in mind, we already knew that it did not have power 2 weeks before I was going to move in.
Yeah.
3 days, I set up all my utilities. 3 days before I move in, I keep getting notifications from Duke Energy saying that my requests have been canceled. And I'm like, I'm not I called and they're like, we're not doing anything. We don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So then that same day, one of the leasing agents, I think, called. And she's like, hey, we just went and toured it. And for some reason, it doesn't have power. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, we knew that.
Weeks ago, it didn't
Yeah.
have power. And she's like, so when you get notifications, like, we had to cancel it, we're, like, setting up. I was like, okay, that's fine. So fast forward, I move in, none of my outlets work. I'm like,
Oh.
I understand you're not checking every outlet when you're
Yeah.
moving in, but I think, and I don't know a lot about, power and how that messes up different things in the
Yeah.
unit.
We don't expect you to.
No, but I think you would like maybe just make sure, the power was off for a while. Let's just make sure like certain things work.
Yeah.
And none of them worked. So it's not like it was like one room.
Yeah.
None of them worked.
Yeah.
So I put a maintenance request in for that. And then again, when I moved in, when you don't know, like just moving into a random apartment, you do not work in this industry at all. You're like, yeah, this is my apartment. It is what it is. I'm going to clean it. And,
Yeah.
I'm moving in. I'm cleaning it how I want, and that's fine. But then when you do work in the industry, as soon as someone moves out, you get it deep cleaned. But when someone's going to move in, you do like what we call a sparkle, where we just make sure
Yep.
there's not
Love a
dead
sparkle.
bugs on the floor.
Yeah.
There's not dust on the counters.
Yeah.
That did not happen at all.
No.
And
Did you have like a move-in gift or something in there?
they gave it to me when I went in there to get my keys. It wasn't, there was nothing in the unit, and it was just like a box. They gave me a cutting board, which I liked the cutting board, but
Yeah.
it was not, there was no presentation. There
Yeah.
was no, she was like, oh, here's this. I was like, oh, okay. Like,
Yeah.
and being a leasing agent or a manager, I think that's like, for me anyway, that was like the most exciting part of working somewhere. It's like
Yeah.
getting so excited for someone to move in. You want them to like
Yeah.
know that you're happy they're moving in. So you
Right.
can, nothing crazy, not like expensive or anything like that, but just
Yeah.
to let them know that you are excited. Yeah.
I just think the fact that they were handing out the office says, plus all the other variables, absolutely just says we don't walk our move-ins.
No. And so
Obviously don't
a couple
walk our
days
move-ins.
later, I had to put in, probably the first 3 days, I had to put in 5 to 6 work orders. And they're like,
Ouch.
very, like the disposal, you'd flip the switch, just was not on, was not connected or on. Just very, very easy things that even when I was a property manager
Yeah.
would go check.
Yeah.
Like it's not like it had to be a detailed maintenance, like look over or anything.
Yeah.
So I put this in, and I'm like, things happen. It's not that big of a deal, but I'm just going to go tell the manager, maybe for like future-wise for somebody else.
Yeah.
And when I was touring, I was just talking with him, and I was telling him I was in a similar field and have been in the field for a while.
Yeah.
And so I went in and I was talking to the manager. I'm like, hey, nothing bad. I just maybe, just wanted to bring to your attention.
Yeah, some feedback.
There's some stuff, going on. And
Which, how kind of you to just approach it that way
Yeah, I
instead
wasn't
of
trying to be
via
rude
Google
or-
reviews.
Yes, exactly. I wasn't even like irritated. I was just like, hey,
Yeah.
future, reference, maybe just make sure these things are good to go.
Yeah.
And quick little sparkle would have done. There's like when you could just rub, there's dust, whatever.
Yeah.
And I told her that, and she's like, oh yeah, it looks like all the maintenance requests are completed. I was like,
Wait, that was the response to the feedback?
Yeah.
Was that the
Wasn't like,
maintenance
sorry.
requests were completed?
yeah. She's just like, oh, I
Okay.
looked and they're completed. I was like, yeah.
I mean, that's
I just
like a
wanted to tell
really
you that-
secondary piece of success. Like,
Yeah.
like success would have been not having them.
Yeah, like I'm glad that they were able to get them done quickly, but it's
Yeah.
like they're very easy things that I just wanted her to know could be checked like in other apartments.
Yeah.
But she just was not did not really care about that. And then I told her again, just
Ouch.
future wise, make sure, maybe they go in there and just do a quick little cleanup.
Yeah.
And she's like, not to make excuses, but I do know that apartment sat for a while. And I'm like, yeah.
Not
so you
important
think,
information to share.
No, but knowing that, you think you would
even worse.
make sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it definitely needs a quick touch up then because
Yeah.
it's sat for so long. So like, I just left, I think, a little more irritated than like going into it because she just like she did not care at all. Did not care at all. And I was like, all right, like it's fine. But again, they're all friendly, but move-in process was not great. And then just a few things already going wrong. Again, a maintenance request is a maintenance request. You're going to have them in apartments.
Yeah.
I do not care.
Yeah.
But I think
Shouldn't have very many at move-in.
No, yeah.
Certainly not like controllable ones.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Very
Like the
easy
outlet thing
fixes.
is hard for me because it's like somebody would have had to take, you know, if the appliances were on.
Yes. And they were.
And
So,
clocks were
yes,
set
absolutely.
and stuff like that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, I think it would be hard. You'd have to take something over and plug it in.
Oh,
But if
absolutely.
they had like a Dirt Devil or like a Dyson or something.
They could have figured it out. Yeah.
During the
Again,
sparkle, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That one is,
That
not a
one's
huge
tough.
deal.
Yeah.
But
the
and again,
garbage disposal,
I don't know
yeah.
when you turn power back on what's supposed to be fixed and what's not. So again, that's different. But yeah, very easy, simple. Like in my master bathroom, the drain stopper just did not, like, you could pull it up and it would just fall right back down.
Yeah.
I think it's just like general things that are kind of easy and just weren't necessarily or should have been looked at, I guess.
Yeah.
And so and even that happened, it is what it is, that's fine. And I think if they would have just taken the feedback like positively and just been like, thank you so much for bringing it to our attention. Like, we'll, future wise, we'll know what to look out for a little more.
Yeah.
They were just like,
say like, you know what, I'm going to make this yours, is it okay if I share your case study with my team?
Yeah,
I want to
exactly.
use this as a very specific, reminder on why it's so critical that we do X, Y, and Z or something.
Yes.
Like they, then you would have left being like, oh, I made an impact.
Yeah. Like
they're going to talk about this.
Exactly.
They're gonna,
and it's not like I went in mad or like expecting to be like, oh, you're going to take some rent off. Like,
right.
Like
I'm not paying rent until my garbage disposal's fixed.
Like no attitude, no nothing.
Yeah.
And it just, was not taken well, I guess. So
it sounds kind of like a combination of like a training issue and maybe just a reminder of like how important it is to be compassionate in the moment and what to do with that. And maybe that's a pervasive issue at her community. Maybe she's over it because maybe she says it all the time. But like until
and she was property manager, so that is a large possibility.
Yeah, I mean, but then at some point, say to leasing person A, hey, you walked that unit, right?
Yes.
Sky's coming today.
Yeah.
And it sat for a while.
And
I just want to make sure.
Went up there. Like one was my tour and saw the power was off. The other lady went in, saw that the power was off, got it fixed.
Yeah.
So both, there's two eyes on a very mediocre
4
move-in. Oh, yeah. 4 eyes. 2 people, 4 eyes. Yeah. But just not the best move-in experience. But again, I truly do think I'm a pretty nonchalant person, so it is what it is.
Right.
And I do really love my apartment, and I love the location. And again, I'm not a huge, I don't go to many events at my apartment. It's
do they
very
have a lot
fun.
of events?
They do.
Are you getting invited to things?
Yeah. They send out
what are you getting
emails.
invited to?
There was like a closing of the pool. They had a party because their pool was open a little bit later than Memorial Day. Or is it Memorial? Or
Labor Day.
Labor Day. And then they did like a pumpkin one. They did a cookie one, I think. So they've done quite a few things already, and I've only been there for about a month. So I'm just, again, I'm not a huge social person with people I don't know. So like I met all my neighbors. I like my neighbors. But other than that, I'm not super into like meeting people. And that's just like a personality thing.
Yeah. I don't think it's just a personality thing. I think it's like a societal thing.
Yeah.
And some of that, I'm not making suppositions about like you and age. I'm, again, coming from a place of deep research because I just won't stop reading books about Gen Z.
Absolutely, yeah.
Or just generations and generational differences and, but there, we will have to drag you out
100%.
of your apartment if we want you, to participate, although I think it is for your own good
100%.
in many ways, but I also just think like we have to do a better job at communicating like what to expect and who all comes and what the attire is even,
Absolutely,
I'm convinced if we started doing theme parties, where you like sounds nuts, but like a toga party, for example, if
But yeah,
everybody knew
yes.
that this is what, and like a, a leasing associate showed, like, this is an example
Yeah, you're not walking
of
in
a zero
overdressed
cost.
or underdressed or
Yeah. And if you have Star Wars sheets, come in your Star Wars sheet. Like, let's go, I don't know. I think like setting up expectations would help get people like, out
absolutely
of their homes. But it's probably, I think the fact that you don't go but also are at least aware of them and recognize
absolutely
that they're doing like the
I'm
effort.
very thankful that they do that. They definitely want people to be there and to, have fun things. So, yeah.
What are the amenities like? Like, do you plan to use any of the amenities?
Yes. Yeah. I've used the gym already. It's a very decent gym for an apartment. I like it.
Yeah.
They have I don't have a dog, but they have a nice pet washing station in there. They have outdoors. They have the pool. I didn't get to use it, but it looks pretty.
Yeah.
They have fire pits. They have grills. And it's like a really nice little setup outside. They have like hanging lights that are really pretty. And so I think there's a few. There's like a game room and like a big TV in there and stuff. Oh. So it's a very nice.
So they have all the normal things.
Yes, absolutely.
Do they have anything not normal or surprising? Like,
I don't think so, really. Pretty basic stuff, but they're really nicely like kept up. Yeah.
And what about, you mentioned when you first started that something that you were looking for was like something that was pretty updated.
Yeah.
Where does the community that you picked fall in the scale of like fresh and new or looking old?
Yeah. So on their website even, they have like the same name, but it'll be this one with attached garage or this one renovated.
Yeah.
So the one that had the attached garage was not renovated.
Yeah.
And they showed me their model, which was renovated, and I was like, I would love that. But the one with the garage isn't super updated, but it's not like cheap either. Cheap looking.
Yeah. Was it a letdown because you saw the model and it was upgraded?
A little bit, yeah. Just because I think I love modern. I love lighter, like white cabinets. I love vinyl, all that. And this one does have vinyl, thankfully. It's not, the bedrooms are the only carpeted areas.
Oh, so like, I mean, we would say plank, but you call it what you want.
Yeah, plank, vinyl.
I mean, it is vinyl. It is vinyl. So you are correct.
But
so it had it everywhere except the bedrooms.
Yep, and then the kitchen's tile. I think that's the only thing that I don't love. Just, it's a bit of a contrast, and that's just, a personal thing.
Still a vinyl product, though? It's not actual tile?
No, it's actual tile.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder who that developer was.
It's just like it's like awkwardly cut as well. But
okay.
Other than that, it's really.
I'm gonna need you to show me a picture of this.
I will be able to do that. Yeah,
okay,
and it's like it's like a light beigey pink almost.
Okay.
But it's not renovated, but it's still like a cherry oak cabinet in there, and I really like it still.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it'd be different if there's carpet everywhere. I don't love carpet in the living room and stuff. Just it seems very old style to me. Yeah,
people don't love to live on carpet, but they don't like to listen to their neighbors without carpet.
Absolutely.
It's like a really difficult balance.
100%.
And I think that's one of those like moments where, leasing associates are always like, well, help me with overcoming this objection, that objection.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if somebody else is looking at something with plank versus that, especially depending on if they're stacked, you would say, well, look, I can understand that. But, what we're doing our best here is to, try to dampen any kind of noise from wall to wall. And that's why we have carpet. And then that person might be like, oh, yeah, my last apartment, the upstairs neighbors were noisy. Yeah. And they may not,
no.
but it's our job
to make a lot of
it's our job to talk about it.
Yeah, even if you don't really think about that, knowing, like when someone tells you that, I think it's
you might go, oh,
pretty odd.
Okay.
Yeah, like you're like, that
okay.
definitely makes
decent
sense.
Trade.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's about the trade for the most part.
And I love to think, an all vinyl, because my house in Muncie had only wood floors, no carpet at all.
Yeah.
Which I did like for like a cleaning aspect.
Yeah.
I think it was just easier just to do like
everything.
a Swiffer. Yeah. But like going to bed, like you're walking on like cold wood, you're like, carpet would maybe be nice when I'm about to like, get ready for bed and when it's cold outside.
There's a way to sell. I think there's a way to sell just about, anything. Yeah. But can we talk about how as a team we picked your actual apartment?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I know that you were pretty far down the sales funnel, if you will. And I think you had even chosen, to the extent possible, that community.
Yes.
You just had to figure it out. And I think, obviously being an industry vet, the community used AIRM.
Yep.
It appeared. I mean, they're using RealPage Online Leasing, so it most likely. And so knowing what that looks like and trying to navigate that, I'm like, Sky, come here. And so, getting to the matrix, I was asking you, I was like, can you do this day?
Yep.
Like, can you start your lease this day and whatever? And like,
Yeah.
we did end up finding a rate that made sense
Yes.
in your budget. You got the unit that you want.
Yep.
The lease term, I don't think mattered to you.
No.
Did it?
No.
Right. And
I could have done 12 to 15.
Yeah. What did you end up
gonna be
doing?
there, 12.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that was
12
like
was the best
that
price.
ended up being best price, yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it is. And
Yeah.
when did you lease? When did you move in?
September 26th.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's still a decent time of year that
Yeah.
I'm sure that it was predicting that
Yeah.
it would be able to fill your apartment if you left next year. So
Yes.
it makes sense. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we ended up like, I'm a really good shopper anyway, at all things.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, Sky, let me help you.
Definitely gave me good insight. Because even where I worked previously, we did like the day-to-day, it was different every day.
Yeah.
But being out of it for a while now,
Yeah.
I kind of forgot that, that makes a big difference certain
Mm-hmm.
days. So I looked up just like October 1st. That was when I needed to be out of my other apartment.
Yeah.
And then like when you started bringing that up, a few days before was, I think it was like $50 different.
Yeah.
Like just
That's
for,
money.
Yeah. I'm like, absolutely. You
Yeah.
just kind of like forget about that, or average person does not know to really look
No.
at just a different day can make like a very decent difference. Yeah.
And it's not that difficult to get to that decision-making
Yeah.
space. And I also just think, like, it's not just the general public that doesn't get it sometimes.
Yeah.
It's even like a leasing
Yeah.
associate that isn't using the system to their advantage, to everyone's advantage.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's like, not to say that we're not here for the consumer, but
Yeah.
like there is a win-win in
Yes.
those situations.
Yeah.
You've filled the apartment sooner. You're going to start paying utilities on it sooner.
Absolutely.
There's rent. There's revenue and then there's rent.
Yeah.
Your rent was less and our revenue ended up probably neutral.
Yeah.
Probably revenue neutral decisions in there. So, I even strategically for one of our communities, I recorded one of my famous Snagit
Yeah.
videos. If you've ever worked anywhere near me, it's like the Snagits. But I recorded a Snagit to actually guide the consumer
Okay.
through that decision-making
Yeah.
process, because what we are, recognizing is that people do want flexibility. They want
Yes.
choice.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? They want to guide
Yeah.
themselves through all these things. I don't necessarily know if it's been incredibly successful. It's a little early for some metrics,
Yeah.
but
But
we
that just
share that
shows
video.
we also care, though. We're not just in it
Yeah.
for 100% money. We're going to take, we're
we
gonna
are
get the
in it
highest-
for 100% money.
100%,
But
not as much money as we possibly can get. Like you are wanting to help them a little bit with a monthly
Yeah.
price and show
Yeah.
them that you can, it can be a little bit different. You can, we can work with you 100% on day
Yeah.
to day. It definitely differs.
And that's
So,
a leasing agent tip. There's a reason
Yes.
we ask someone's budget.
Absolutely.
It's not to decide if they're, worth showing because we're in it or not in it or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, especially if you work for a company or community that has some of that opportunity, and if you're really smart and you ran some rates in the morning and
Yep.
self-quoted, like I always had myself in as a prospect and I would do some quotes in the
Okay.
morning.
Yeah.
And know kind of where those things fell. So
Yeah.
that way when I was doing things with customers or reading follow-ups or
Yeah.
whatever, I would know like, oh, I'm close to that.
Yeah.
And then you can just take them to the apartment. You can just focus on the tour. You can focus on the sale,
Yes.
not focus on the rate.
Absolutely.
And then bring them back and, do what you need to
Yeah.
do, or have them do it themselves. But I was like, Sky, get over here. I was like, oh, we got this. It was
And
like
it's
my
so
mission.
funny how it started because I just came in one morning just complaining. I'm like, I'm just irritated with everything. And then
Yeah.
we're like, this could be,
And I'm like, wait a minute.
this could help a few people for
yeah,
sure.
let's try this community. Let's
Yeah.
do it like this. And
Yeah.
so I'm glad that it worked out. Is there anything that you would, do differently during the surge? Did you ever use, you said Google, but like, did you ever use any of the, sort of like websites that are showing I'm not trying to feed an answer to you, but like,
yeah, no.
did you ever use any of the ILSs that have all the apartments in one place
I
and
don't
ship
think
out leads
so.
that way? No.
No, I
Yeah.
really just Googled it. And,
Yeah.
I mean, of course, some of them came up, like apartment list, and I
Yeah.
think it's like rent something. I would
Yeah.
click on those.
You clicked on them, but that's
Yeah,
not where you did
no.
like your leads.
No,
No.
no,
So. yeah.
I think it starts to rent something. I did go there a few times because
Mm-hmm.
it does make it nice, but then unfortunately some of the websites will quote a price and then you'll go to that person's actual website
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and it's not correct. And
Or
it's,
inconsistent, and
Yes.
then it makes you wonder which one's right.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, and
The best one is right.
again, stuff changes. I get that. Things like
Yeah.
prices change day to day.
Yeah.
But they were quoting like start like lowest price like a chunk lower than their websites like even say. Because again, when you're looking for a specific unit, it'll say like this price to this price, and that's mostly just like lease term.
Yeah.
But the lowest price is not anywhere really near where a couple of these websites had it quoted. So, and I know they have to talk to each other, so I know sometimes
Which one
that's
ended
just
up
getting,
correct, if you will, like, or attainable, like
Yeah.
where it was like, no, this could.
the
This
one
is-
where I live at when you showed me it, I
Yeah.
Googled it, and
Yeah.
I went to one of those websites first.
Yeah.
And it was very similar to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple of them were a pretty. I think it was only like probably like 2 were a chunk lower. The rest of them were similar pricing.
the time lag and like of the feeds and the syndication is somewhat painful,
Yeah.
you know, because we have our own internal systems, and then rents are decided, and then it sits there until it gets picked up by those feeds, or I never. Oh, I mean, not that I don't know, but like some of them push information out, some of them pull information, and like where does it pull it from, and when does it pull it,
Yeah.
and if it pulls it before. We've done our pricing reviews for the
Yep.
day. So if we're not, if somebody's not approving prices till 9:30, but it already syndicated before that, then you're a day behind.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I don't think it's often that we explain it or have to explain. I mean, maybe we do. That's a lesson for me to make sure that our teams understand how to, talk about it, so that way it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like they can't trust us, because it's
Absolutely.
probably a trust thing in the
Well,
end,
yeah,
right?
when you're like looking it up, you're just like, well, did you guys just jump it? You know what I mean? Did you like skyrocket your prices recently, or
Yeah.
like, there's definitely a little like thought behind it. It's not like, oh, it was just wrong. There's a little bit
Yeah.
of like, what's going on? But
And if they're not far apart, it's probably not the end of the world. But
No.
it's like if I'm on Priceline and I'm trying to fly to Florida,
Yeah.
and I go to the actual airline,
Yeah.
and it's $6 off or $9 off
Yeah.
or something like that. Like, I'm probably gonna read the fine print, but I'm gonna click wherever I trust, and
Yeah.
probably still transact.
absolutely.
And I think it's similar to that in
Yeah.
the apartments, except when it's way off.
Yeah, they were like.
Like way,
2
way
of them,
off.
I'd say it was like $200 difference.
Oh,
and I'm like,
that's
when
pretty
is
big.
that happening? Like,
That's
why
pretty
is that
big.
happening? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, last week were they $200 like less, or
Yeah.
it's just, I think it just brings questions to like something you don't think you would, there wouldn't
Yeah.
be questions.
It's
typically.
tricky, and it's
Yeah.
painful, because like also the settings for us is like, I can tell it to show this price, or like
Yeah.
even one of the ILSs, it always defaults to 12 months. Well, when you do not revenue management, but when you do like expiration management,
Yeah.
when you're doing anything like that, that is, helping you
Yeah.
manage your business, then the 12-month may or may not be the right thing, but like the old mentality is default to 12,
Absolutely, yeah.
and you just want to be like, now hold on, like how can we fix this?
Yeah.
And yeah. So, and also there's controls on how many units will show on the site, because
Yeah.
if let's say you're in lease up, or let's say you just have a large unit mix, like River Club's got, I don't know, 261
Yes.
bedrooms. We're always going to have probably more than 4 or 5 1-bedrooms,
Yep.
whether that's current vacant or on notice, and we don't necessarily, it doesn't help the customer from a decision making capacity
Yep.
to see 35. We
Yeah.
don't have 35, but I'm just saying in
Well,
a lease up, it's
Yes.
hard, because it's like, so there's even some things there too, like to not overwhelm the customer. Like, you want a good sample of what
Yes,
you have over
absolutely.
there, but that lowest price one might just not be feeding over.
Yeah.
So I don't know, is that an argument to be just using the websites, like using
think so.
like this is owned by this apartment community, they run it, they are in control here, because we have a little less control
Yeah.
in those places we syndicate.
Well, I know even, excuse me, when I was a property manager, sometimes certain websites would call us on the phone and ask us specific questions. And so you might not be getting, a leasing agent might be rushing or something and say, oh, this is what it is. This is what we have right now. So those,
Right.
there's so many,
Or they might
variables.
be told to say 95%.
Yeah,
no matter
absolutely.
what. Just
yeah.
say 95%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely variables in all of it, but
Yeah.
I think going straight to
There
the
are.
website is always going to be the easiest.
But that instant, if there was an instant follow-up, like our goal is to quote and quote early
Yeah.
and quote often,
Yeah.
because it's so important to earn that trust, and the trust comes from us sending them a promise,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Like,
Absolutely.
like we can say to you, this is absolutely what it looks like. These are the fees. This is,
Yeah.
all those details. So we quote early and quote often
Yeah.
for that reason, because, day to day to day, you may go shop online again,
Yeah.
or you may get retargeted,
Yeah.
by something. And
Absolutely.
it's like, we want them to have a direct contact with us immediately
Yeah.
for that reason.
Yeah. And it's just nice to know, like, even if it's a few hours, towards the end of the day, whatever, just to know they recall that you toured, they want you to come back. And it's just like they remembered. So when they don't send it at all, you're like, okay, you don't care about anybody that's coming in there is kind of what it seems like to me. But
yeah, I think you're 100% right. I'm trying to think what book I read recently. They blend together. I read way too much. I think it was called Siren's Call.
Okay.
And, lot of information about marketing, but like the reality is that the real commodity today is attention. We all want attention.
100%.
Which is not different probably from the way it's been since, I don't know, the beginning of time.
Yes.
Like we want attention from our friends, attention from I want less attention from my cat, but like you probably have some like that too.
I'm never not getting attention. I'm like, hey guys.
Mine's on my nerves really bad right now. I don't know why he's really clingy, but I mean, like the reality is, I think that the consumer wants attention.
Yes.
And I'm not saying it has to be 100% human, but if it is only ever inhuman, then that starts to be inhumane. It's not what we want. It's not what we desire. And it's definitely not what's going to like hook us.
No. And unfortunately, not everywhere, but AI or like a auto-generated thing is not always correct, or it doesn't always hear things, or it doesn't understand
Technology's
you.
not perfect? What are you saying?
And so when you're trying to say something on the phone and they're not getting it and they're just like, I can't hear you.
Representative.
Exactly. It just like frustrates you so quickly, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So then when that happens, I'm like, I don't even want to try to do this because that has already just irritated me so bad.
Yeah.
But I don't care if like an automated thing texts me like, thanks for calling, or, these are some things.
Or like an auto response.
Yeah.
As long as I think I just was talking to Spencer a couple of days ago about like a more calculated initial auto response, because if someone is shopping and let's say that they did 5-6 leads somewhere, which I think is completely legitimate. I have no science behind it. This is just my theory. But if every single, if some of these companies are using the same automation platforms, they're getting, if they didn't customize it, they're getting the same response from different, different management companies, different properties. Like, how are you supposed to stand out with that?
Exactly.
Like, it would be better, you'd be better off to having your subject line 3 minutes to the super target.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Something
Like,
that's going to make me
obviously I'm
stand
obsessed
out.
with super target. I mention it all the time because like the flats,
Yeah.
is so close to super target. I'm just like, I need to sell my house and live at the flats.
Yeah,
It
like,
seems like
this.
literal perfection
absolutely.
in so many ways. But, I think that I think even if the automation is there, like taking a minute to custom curate what the response is probably goes a long way.
Yeah.
And then maybe you wouldn't be so like turned off by it.
Because I know it's 2025. Like, there's,
almost
we're
2020.
I
We're
know.
getting close.
We're using
Getting
AI,
close.
and it's very helpful. I 100% like acknowledge that.
Yeah.
I just think some stuff can easily go wrong with AI, and I think if you're only using that, or that's like your only response for leads, I don't think it, like you said, if it's not like tailored to you and it's not a little more specific. It's just
or witty,
yes, exactly,
or some color,
yes,
you know what I mean.
Yes.
Like I think that's the real
just
failure.
Very basic, generic. There's not a lot of time going into what you like when you started it.
Yeah,
I think it's probably not worth it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm so glad that you came on today because we mystery shop our people.
Yes.
And, we do test leads and, we're always looking at drip marketing and everyone's looking at which automation tool makes the most sense.
Absolutely.
But even those aren't free. Like there's an expense everywhere.
Yeah.
And I just keep saying, like, we've got commitments and we've got resources and we have to just make sure we're meeting our commitments and then decide what resources. And ours are a combination of on-site, off-site, offshore, and AI.
Yep.
Like it's all happening.
Absolutely.
Because we're progressive, just as progressive as anybody else in that way. And we're also I think far more calculated,
100%.
far more calculated. Like I'm starting to think I'm some kind of psychopath, but not. And I use my powers for good.
Absolutely,
like
absolutely.
not trying to psychologically trick anyone. It's actually
No.
the opposite. I'm trying
Yes.
to stay incredibly connected and give everyone attention. I want them
Yes.
to be healthy and happy and thriving
Yes.
and, all that fun stuff. But I
Absolutely.
wanted, when we talked about it in passing, I was just like, operators need to hear this.
They do.
Like they need to be reminded that in
Yes.
a real life scenario, because really what happened is you gave your lease to someone, you gave your money,
Yes.
and you give your money to someone every single month.
Yes.
And there's 3 or 4 apartment communities that you just as well could have spent your money at.
Yeah.
That because of that pathway.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. So, 3, 4 people lost, one person won.
Just by like just having no attention to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
even when like an AI would reach out, no one else, like when I stopped texting it,
Yeah.
no one else, or even if it was like an offsite person,
Yeah.
no one ever reached back out to be like, did you, did something go wrong?
Oh,
Or
no.
did you, like, did.
So you ghosted them, so they ghosted you.
Yeah, they're like, all right. We clearly don't care that much, I guess. We don't need it.
Oh, and
Yeah.
that doesn't feel good. Like,
No,
one
I'm like,
wants to feel
okay.
disposable.
No,
They're-
exactly. Yeah.
Because it's like, your dollars are your dollars, and your
Absolutely.
roof over your head is like mission critical
Yes.
to so many other things. So
100%.
yeah, that's upsetting, but it's
Yeah.
real life.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So here at Gray Residential, we take your words very seriously and like just appreciate the true case study right here in our city and the fact that you're so transparent about it and that you were willing to come on
Yeah,
and share it
absolutely.
with
Yeah.
everybody else and that you survived it.
I did. Yeah.
Without edits.
I know. I'm very,
I
very
told
shocked.
you.
I'm happy about it.
Yeah, I say all the time, I'm like, look, I tell my guests, I'm like, I'm a one-take wonder.
Yeah.
But this has been a fun conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
This has been a fun conversation for sure, and we just appreciate it. And thank you for listening. And if you want to continue to be part of these conversations, just like and subscribe.